Speaking of hate, this is interesting. There is a law in Virginia that was inspired by the Klan burning crosses in people's yards. And the law says that it is a crime, a felony crime, to burn anything with the intent to intimidate somebody based on their race, their religion, or intimidate them in general. It's a crime. Now, on August 11, 2017, hundreds of Nazis marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, Donald Trump's very good people, carrying tiki torches, burning things, which is a felony in Virginia, shouting, "Jews will not replace us," you know, referencing Tucker Carlson's great replacement theory that Jewish billionaires are paying money to have black people replace white people in their jobs and in their families and whatever. And I mean, one of the women who was there that night, she said, when we heard the roaring of the approaching crowd, she was one of the counter-protesters. She was one of the anti-fascist protesters. She said, when we heard the roaring of the approaching crowd, we just linked arms and held hands and started to sing. She said, at first it sounded like thunder, like the earth was growling. As they grew closer, she could see the light of the torches and hear their chants, hundreds of voices raised in unison shouting, "Blood and soil," which was Hitler's slogan. Testifying about it 4 nights later, she said she still has nightmares about it. By the time that small group of mostly students realized the size and ferocity of the approaching mob, they were too late. They were surrounded. The Nazis sprayed them with lighter fluid, sprayed them with mace, sprayed them with tear gas, beat them. The police made no move to intervene as streams of pepper spray were let loose and screams of medic were audible above the crowd. The Nazis continued shouting, "You will not replace us," as they beat these people senseless. When the trapped protesters, counter-protesters, were finally able to flee, stumbling blindly with burning eyes and covering their heads in a hailstorm of fists and torches, the Nazis started shouting, "Hail victory," which is English for Sieg Heil. And "Hail Spencer." David Duke tweeted out images of the torch march celebrating the alt-right's success that evening. Well, again, as I said, this was entirely against the law. Now, the guy who murdered Heather Heyer, his name was Fields, he was convicted of that, and he's in prison right now, as were a few other people who were involved in shooting at a young black man, calling him the N-word. But there were hundreds of participants who were carrying tiki torches in violation of felony laws in Virginia. Well, it turns out the Attorney General of Virginia is starting now to look for these people. In February 2023, this is within one county, Albemarle County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, and they're now issuing fugitive warrants against these people. Keep an eye on this story. It's going to get interesting.